Louisiana's Port Fourchon is the nerve center of oil and gas drilling and production in the Gulf of Mexico. With an expanding client base and increasingly sophisticated infrastructure, the port has been growing exponentially since the 1960s. Starting with just 2 companies, it's now home to more than 250, and its importance to the nation's energy supply can't be overstated.
Well, Port Fourchon services about 90% of all the deepwater activity in the Gulf of Mexico. We service about 18% of the nation's oil supply, and that's significant to our economy locally, regionally, but most importantly, nationally.
The port swarms with activity. Every day, approximately 270 large supply vessels traverse the port's channels, and up to 1,200 trucks travel its roads. Every month, 15,000 people depend on the port for access to their jobs offshore.
Whenever we have visitors from other parts of the country, we try to bring them down here and show them, what's in Port Fourchon and explain to them the importance to not only the local economy, but the U.S. economy as a whole. If for whatever reason Port Fourchon is not accessible or available to support the oil and gas production that it does, that has a direct and immediate impact on the whole country.
One of America's expanding energy frontiers is the Deepwater Gulf of Mexico, and Port Fourchon continues to serve as its leading supply base. With exceptional facilities and waterways that can accommodate drafts of up to 27 feet, it is the only Louisiana port with the capacity to support exploration and drilling on the outer continental shelf.
The requirements for deep water, logistics in being able to move in vast amounts of equipment drove us to new designs in vessels, supply vessels, and anchor handling vessels. So as these new vessels were generated and utilized by the industry, the draft of these vessels were much greater than the old vessels. So it drove the need for a deep water port. Fourchon met that need, and Fourchon was developed as a result of that need.
Port Fourchon is also the service base for a vital national asset, the Louisiana Offshore Oil Port, or LOOP. LOOP is located 18 miles out in the Gulf of Mexico and is the only deepwater oil port in the United States. A prominent port feature is the 500-foot wide, 24-foot deep E-slip. Located on 400 acres of elevated land in the heart of the port, it provides more than 18,600 linear feet of developed waterfront property to meet a wide range of mineral exploration and production needs. With many companies based at the port, many more are seeking to locate here, and the northern expansion has been undertaken to satisfy this surge in demand. The expansion is being developed on 4,000 acres north of the E-slip, with slips A and B completely leased. Construction is underway on slip C, which will create an additional 400 acres of property and more than 14,000 linear feet of waterfront.
We've been in the port probably almost 25 years now, and we thought it was a great location as the then beginning of the epicenter for the Gulf of Mexico oil and gas operations. It's really grown since that time, as we have, and I think we've grown along with the port. But it's been a great location for our customers. We're in the shipyard business. Obviously, our customers are the boat companies, and Port Fourchon probably is the busiest place in Louisiana, if not the Gulf Coast, for the type of vessels we like to work on.
The Leonard Miller Jr. Airport is another important asset. The airport was acquired in 2001 along with 1,200 surrounding acres that are being developed as an industrial park. So far, more than $23 million have been spent on airport improvements, and there has been a 2,600% increase in traffic since its acquisition.
Well, the best thing for us is the location of the FAA airport that is central to where our customers are located, and it's the closest airport to the Gulf Coast, and it's the closest airport to everybody that we need to fly to. So it's a great location. Also, the double levee system around the airport provides that extra layer of protection that we need, as well as just a lot of room for expansion and growth. And we think that this is a strong location for future aviation development in this area.
Able to accommodate everything from single-engine aircraft to 20-passenger business jets, airport use includes private recreation, search and rescue, crew transportation, flight instruction, fish spotting, and oil field support services. The airport's strategic location also facilitates emergency response and recovery in times of natural or man-made disaster or national crisis. For travel by land, unimpeded access to Port Fourchon, regardless of weather conditions, has been vastly improved by the elevated Louisiana Highway 1 from Leeville. Elevated LA1 has increased accessibility to the interstate system, greatly expanding the economies of the shipping, tourism and recreation, and commercial fishing industries. Elevated LA1 also provides a secure evacuation route for tens of thousands of people in the event of a storm.
Now we're working on the section from Leeville to Golden Meadow to get an elevated highway into the levee system, which at that point would have an elevated highway from Golden Meadow all the way to Port Fourchon, which would give us access pre- and post-storms much quicker.
Port Fourchon is governed by Louisiana's only elected Board of Commissioners. The commissioners oversee the port's annual $80 million budget, and the port's 36 employees direct its day-to-day operations.
The Greater Lafourche Port Commission has played a vital role in our success. We really consider them partners for Medicine West and all we do in Port Fourchon. They're definitely pro-growth, pro-jobs, and pro-business. So with all those put together, we're seeing record low unemployment in the area, and they've really been a vital part of our success and an excellent partner in all the success West has had in Port Fourchon.
The responsibility for the security of Port Fourchon is in the capable hands of the port's Harbor Police Department, which is armed with sophisticated wireless surveillance systems covering the highways, waterways, facilities, and beach. In addition to law enforcement and patrol, these exceptional men and women are first responders to port emergencies, and they work closely with local, state, and federal agencies in law enforcement, emergency drills, and emergency planning. The U.S. Coast Guard, Border Patrol, U.S. Bureau of Customs, and the Lafourche Fire and Lafourche Ambulance districts are also located in port.
We do everything that a normal police force would do. We enforce all traffic laws in port. We also are out on the water. We do escorts for large vessels coming in and out of port. We also do respond to fuel spills and chemical spills and maybe even collisions that might take place in a port as busy as ours.
Beyond the oil and gas industry, Port Fourchon is a multifaceted, multi-use facility with infrastructure to support commercial fishing, seafood production, shipping, tourism, and recreation. The Bayou Lafourche Ridge, which is where Port Fourchon sits toward the Gulf of Mexico, is situated between two of the most abundant estuaries in the world, the Terrebonne Estuary and the Barataria Estuary.
Oil and gas industry is the majority of our business here in Port Fourchon. However, commercial fishing and recreational fishing is what started this port. So we have a large commercial fishing fleet running out of Port Fourchon and a large recreational fishing fleet. Within a 40-mile area of Port Fourchon, there's over 600 rigs and platforms in the Gulf, every one of them being an artificial reef.
Port Fourchon has a large marina and tie-up facilities for commercial fishing vessels and dockside unloading. For sportsmen, there's a free public boat launch and beach access. In addition, groceries, supplies, and lodging are also available in port. Port and industry officials are extremely optimistic about the future, and one thing clients can depend on is the port's continued commitment to work hand in hand with them to achieve their goals. The port backs this commitment with superior infrastructure and an environment that fosters solid business development.
There is no other place like it. We are, as I said, the premier oil and gas service base for this country, and we take pride in that, and we will continue to service and provide the needs for this industry as we move forward into the future.
Port Fourchon is a world-class facility positioned to meet the challenges of the future by charting the same course that has been the foundation of its success: strong partnerships with clients, solid environmental stewardship, and a commitment to the community and the country.